Good afternoon and a very warm welcome. Thanks for staying tuned to CNN News 18. I'm Kritsween Walia, and first up we start with the latest coming in from Bangladesh. Bangladesh's Hindu voters, remember, are caught in a terrifying dilemma amid rising Islamist influence and minority attacks. Reports suggest Jamaat-e-Islami is threatening Hindus, warning they'll be driven out if they do not vote for their candidates. Allegedly, religious extremists even plan to assassinate Hindu candidates, is what we're learning. Since Sheikh Hasina's fall in August 2024, over 2,000 communal violence cases have been reported. 68 people have died. Hindus, constituting 8% of Bangladesh's population, fear post-election violence and strategic voting to stay safe. Some consider boycotting, others are talking about voting strategically for the BNP, which is perceived as less hostile. The Bangladesh Hindu Buddhist Christian Unity Council has also demanded security guarantees. So those are the kind of reactions coming in. That's the sentiment in the run-up to the elections, to the national elections in Bangladesh. But the situation remains tense. Minorities continue to live in fear. I do want to bring in Pallavi Ghosh, who's joining us live from Dhaka. Hi, Pallavi. Good morning to you. Take us through the mood in Dhaka, and more importantly, so many voices coming in, especially from the minorities, on how they're perceiving voting going into elections. What's the sense that you're getting today?
So there are around 8% of the Hindus, I would say, in Bangladesh, and a number of total minorities would be a little beyond that. And there have been 200 election observers who have come in from many parts of Europe, Denmark, Germany, and so on. Because there is this feeling that, Bangladesh may be trying for democracy or democratic comeback, but will it really be one on the ground? First of all, the question which is being raised is that Awami League, which has been in power, and one of the main stakeholders, they have been banned. They are not taking part in the elections. So the game is basically between two big players, which is the BNP and its allies on one hand, and on the other hand, of course, is going to be the Jamaat. The Jamaat is believed to be an ultra-radical kind of an organization, though on the surface of it, Christine, they talk about inclusive, secular politics, but underneath it, when you listen to their sound bites, you listen to the election campaign speeches, they are kind of very menacing. They do tell the minorities that if you want to survive in Bangladesh, you have to vote for us. This has added on to the fear factor among the minorities, and in many areas where we are on our way to, there are people who are saying that we're not even going to go out and cast our vote. How are you going to try and convince them to take part? That's one big headache as far as election observers and the Election Commission of Bangladesh is concerned.
So open threats being issued, and strategically that's possibly one reason why the minorities are looking at the BNP, which I'm afraid looks like a situation of beggars can't be choosers, isn't it, Pallavi?
Absolutely. I mean, the BNP, frankly speaking, also has been a mute spectator. It's only now when you end into a closure of the campaigning that they've started talking about that we are going to have a Bangladesh which means for everyone. But the reality on the ground is completely different. It's not just that something which has happened immediately. It has something which has unfortunately been sustained and tolerated over years. Attacks on Hindus, attacks on other minorities. These stories have now started out coming up to the open. That is because the media also, and especially all of us, have been reporting on it. But so for the people over here, the choice between a BNP on one hand and Jamaat is not really seen as much of a choice.
And you continue to get us all those exclusive voices and interesting stories. So, Pallavi, thank you for that. We'll come back to you in just a bit. For now, let's play out this ground report that's been filed by you. You spoke to students and first-time voters who also spoke explicitly on Hasina's ouster. Let's hear it from them. Listen in.
Well, Bangladesh was on a threshold of reform. Remember that student uprising which took place almost a year back had actually fought for a change which would bring in development, which would bring in true democracy and an end to corruption. I have two first-time voters with me at this point of time, Saqib and Naheem. Thank you very much. I've taken time out to speak to me. Both of you had taken part in that students uprising, right? So what are you looking for now when you're looking at elections taking place? I can see a lot of campaigning happening.
Okay, first of all, we did participated in the movement in order to change the structure of our political system, to demolish the patronage political system to a more democratic one. So we are looking for that type of political system in the future so that we can participate in the institution equally irrespective of our gender, identity, religion, etc. So yes, that is our main objective for now.
Are you disappointed when you see a lot of comments coming in from many of the politicians, or are you hopeful that this election can bring about change in the true sense of the term for what you fought for?
Well, basically for that you have to understand what we don't want right now after fascist phase of 17 years. We don't want the fascism to come back. We don't want an autocratic system. We don't want a family to run the country. And we don't want forced disappearance. We don't want judicial killings. So after the revolution, we are very hopeful. I think we have pressed the reset button. Now we have the opportunity to choose our own leaders. But I am personally a bit hopeful and disappointed at the same time, because I see some of the leaders showing us a broader picture, a bigger vision, but at the same time a lot of leaders out there who are still thinking in an older manner. So yes, I am hopeful if the people say yes to the referendum, and if the people can choose the right leader after the 17 years of fascism dictatorship, then there could be a greater Bangladesh.
Do you also have that sense of disappointment? Do you think that the students' uprising has been misused by some politicians?
Yes, it is true that whatever we have expected, everything was not as we expected. But we are progressing little by little. So I am not fully satisfied, but I am hopeful. I'm optimistic about the future of my country. Hopefully, the next government will be more accountable, more just. That is my expectation.
But what, will you act like a pressure group? Suppose the next government is also not very accountable. Then
Obviously.
there can be another uprising, or saying?
Yes, if the next government cannot fulfill our expectations, if they are not, if they try to bring back the previous structures, which is oppressive and not accountable, we will obviously again take to the street and oppose it.
I think the July movement, the uprising, made it very clear. They gave a very clear message to the politicians that if you do the same thing again, if you try to oppress us, if you try to control us, if you try to do corruption, there will be another uprising. But it's not a threat. It's a message that be a good one. Just try to be a good one. Because in the last 54 to 55 years, we haven't seen, if you set a proper, we try to set a proper benchmark, I think Bangladesh could have get a better leadership in the past 54 or 55 years. I think we've got some of the good leadership back in these years, but we are expecting to be the politicians much better.
But many of the students themselves have joined political parties, one way or the other. Don't you think that is a compromise? Would you see that as a compromise? Or you see that as a message from let's fight from within but still want them?
I do not see that as compromise. Obviously, some of the leaders of student wings also took part corruptions like extortions and bribing, etc. But overall, most of the students do have faith in them.